One of the things that I have asked God to show me for a long time is to understand why complaining is such a sin. If you look at scripture, God really talks about complaining as a problem and discontent as a problem. And one of the things I was thinking about recently is seeing how much we as a society really gravitate towards discontent. Like, we really trust in discontent. We think that it's a superpower. And it's not that the other side is correct, this like toxic positivity is correct. It's very much not correct. But the issue with discontent is that it can come in and blind us away from the good that we can do. It blinds us from seeing the good that is in front of us, and it makes us so focused on the ideal of what we're trying to reach at that we don't just deal in reality. We don't just deal with what's in front of us. And one of the things it can really do is discourage people to such an extreme that they feel that doing the good that they can do, there's no point in it. And it actually begins to encourage people towards sin, encourages them that that's the only way to get what they want or get what they need. Because what they can do that's good is seen as so minimal, so small that it feels like a drop in the bucket. And this is something that I continue to see as, I don't know, just on TikTok, where you scroll through TikTok, you see this kind of mindset of we really trust in laying things out and complaining about things. And I don't mean that in a rude sense, but just to complain, to show an issue about something. And we really trust that to be what's powerful. But the other side that can come is that people just begin to be so overly fearful of things or overly discouraged about things, where they feel like there's no point, and it takes kind of the wind out of their sails to do good, and it takes away their focus from doing good. And what can happen is we begin to actually pull down things because we're so wanting the ideal to exist. What you actually begin to do is actually tear down things. It's kind of blowing my mind a bit how we can be so fighting for what is right. We're so campaigning for these things that we trust in that. And meanwhile, it's actually doing harm and it's doing wrong. And we really did not account for that being a reality and being something that could actually happen. And I think that this is so true right now in America. You have the right and the left at each other's throats. And without trying to get too political, what you have on one side is people who are insisting upon the ideals of what they think should exist. You have the right who pictures life should be this way, and they're so fighting for that. And on the left, you kind of have the same thing where, resisting real issues, real evils, but you have people who are so focused on what should exist. And it's not that they're wrong, right? Like, you have people talking about what is wrong with the situation in Gaza and how our country isn't doing, our government isn't doing the correct things it needs to be doing. That's true. That's real. But what you have is people are so focused on what should be that they begin to actually tear down what is. They begin to destroy what is for that. And that's the danger that keeps going on, is you have people so disheartened and so embittered at these things that you are willing to basically sacrifice what does exist, what there is, and you don't see it and you don't appreciate it, and you're sacrificing it to this cause. This discontent and this intensity is beginning to destroy the good things that do exist. And I think this is the wisdom that God is getting at in scripture, where he's talking to people, for example, who are enslaved. I believe that scripture is taking for granted that something like that is horrible and it's wrong. But the advice God is giving is not the advice that we expect God to give. We expect this, like, wave your flags, stand up for human rights, march out those front doors, type thing. And that's not what he tells them. And instead, what God ends up doing is telling people how to handle those situations in a situation that's impossible for them at that time to escape. And we kind of take the way that God does this as like weak or unjust, these types of things. But what I feel I'm seeing is the wisdom of God, and how he tells people to go on in life, because he doesn't tell people that the way to get through life is to start a rebellion, is to start a movement. And for us as Americans, and I mean both sides of this, our society really believes in that narrative. It really, really believes in rebellion. It really believes in discontent. And I feel that we're really not seeing how harmful that discontent is to our society, how it's literally destroying our society. It's tearing it down. It's threatening the fabrics of what we have here. And while there are real issues that are going on in our country, very real issues on both sides that they're upset about, and not trying to pick a side on this, but there are real issues that people are upset about, they're willing to not respect and appreciate what is that is good, that God has given, that God has given. I mean, the right is so upset about these things, but they forget that we have religious freedom in this country. The left is upset about injustices, but they are forgetting how much has changed and how much there is to appreciate from God. And it is that discontent, it's that danger. And we don't really appreciate the danger of discontent. We don't appreciate the danger of rebellion. We just think that it's meaningful, and we're not seeing the reverse of it, how destructive it really can be.